There's a device that I've been using called a Whoop.
Hello and welcome back to IGOW6. I'm your host, Dan Sugano, aka Skittles, and in this video we're going to be covering IGOW6 Preseason Challenge number 4. That's the average Jane and Joe's Matty tricks. As the challenge title suggests, this week we're going to be learning Mattyflips, as well as Half-Matties. Over 10 years ago, Matty Stunts created the trick that became known as the Mattyflip, and for many years to follow, it was considered one of the most difficult maneuvers in all of FPV freestyle. However, after over a decade of improvements to the hardware and software of our drones, as well as the skyrocketing progression of pilot skills, today we find FPV freestyle on a completely different level, where the Mattyflip has just become a standard trick that most everyone participating will be able to perform by the end of this challenge. Also, I have a treat for all of you viewers out there. All of the example clips and the execution portion of the trick tutorial for this challenge video is done by the current IGOW champion, Callisto. Josh is also a judge and mentor for the IGOW6 season, and he will be helping create the more difficult regular season challenges. So, good luck. I'll try to keep the brownies to a minimum. Okay, before we go over the goals, I want to make sure that everyone understands that all the challenges of IGOW6 must be done with no bumps, no ground taps, and no crashes. This exact wording may not be included in the main description of every challenge goal or requirement, but nonetheless, it is always required. For all the Matty style maneuvers that we're going to be doing in this challenge, you're going to be finishing the tricks by flying blind backwards. So if you happen to contact the gate or a wall or the ground or anything, then that attempt would be considered a fail. Also, if a particular goal or requirement has multiple parts, like a combo, that must be done in the same clip, then you must complete them all without any bumps, ground taps, or crashes during the tricks and also in between each element. Okay, now we're gonna go over the 3 goals for IGOW6 Preseason Challenge number 4. That's the average Jane and Joe's Matty tricks. Goal 1 is to perform a Mattyflip on any over-under obstacle. Okay, this one is super simple. Any over-under obstacle is literally anything that you can fly both over and under, and then you just perform a Mattyflip on that obstacle, and you've completed goal 1. Goal 2 is to perform a Triple Half-Matty Pendulum on any obstacle. Each half-matty must be done immediately one after another in that pendulum-like motion, with no additional flying around to set up in between each trick. The half-matty maneuver is explained in the tutorial if this trick is new to you. Goal 3 is to perform a Matty Shuffle on an IGOW approved TGS. TGS stands for Triple Gate Stack, which is just like it sounds, 3 gates stacked up one on top of another. And for it to be IGOW approved, each gate must have a maximum opening size of 28 inches or 71 centimeters. To perform the Matty Shuffle combo on the TGS, you're going to start by flying forward through the bottom gate, then you're going to pitch back to fly backwards through the middle gate, then you're going to fly forward again at the TGS and perform a Mattyflip through the top gate, drop down, and then finish backwards through the bottom gate, and then while it's still facing the TGS, complete a celebration roll, keeping the TGS in your FPV view. Okay, now that we've covered the goals, we're gonna move on to the points of focus for the average Jane and Joe's Matty Trick Challenge. The points of focus this week are nearly identical to the challenge last week. First and foremost, all of your Matty tricks must have constant loop motion. Okay, so the constant loop motion rule for Mattyflips is basically the same as for power loops. The idea is that your drone must always be moving on the path of your trick as you perform your Mattyflips. The main place we're going to be looking for this is in the swooping finish as you fly backwards at the end of your Mattyflip or half-matty. If you ever catch yourself or come to a complete stop, or worse, move in the opposite direction before completing the trick motion, then that attempt would be considered a fail for IGOW purposes. Just like we learned with power loops last challenge, the most common violation of the constant loop motion happens when you over-rotate your tricks. So especially for Mattyflips that have a blind finish, you really need to learn the angle that you want to stop your flip at that will allow you to then fly backward under your obstacle smoothly with constant loop motion. The next point of focus will be that you start your Matty flip before you completely pass over your obstacle. Just flying over the obstacle and then doing a front flip and then flying backwards under the obstacle again isn't exactly a Matty flip. The idea is that you're basically doing the reverse or rewind version of a power loop, where the front or the top of your drone is always facing the obstacle as you vertically circle around it. The final point of focus is that all of your tricks are completed with no bumps, ground taps, or crashes, as explained at the start of this video, and of course that you fly away cleanly from all of your tricks. For this particular challenge, only goal 3 had a required celebration roll, but it is good practice, and I think it looks cool to finish a Matty flip or half Matty with a roll while the obstacle is still in your FPV view. Okay, so now I want to talk about this challenge's title sponsor, the Average Jane and Joe's Race. So every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, for the last 200 plus weeks in a row, this race has been held on Velocidrone with the voice chat and Discord. Mr. E and EDOC have been the lead organizers, and hundreds of pilots have participated in the race over the last 4+ years. There are often more than 50 pilots present and participating from all ability levels. So if you're looking to join an awesome group of pilots and participate in a fun race on Velocidrone, then just jump in any Thursday and you will be welcomed. The format is fun and suited for pilots of all skill levels, and it's focused on bringing new pilots into Velocidrone and the racing community. I personally participate in the races as often as I am able to, and it's always a ton of fun and a great community. So I hope to see you there next Thursday. There's a link in the description to join the Discord. All right, now we're gonna get into the trick tutorial part of the video, and as always, we're gonna start with visualization. Okay, so as you can see here in these examples, for a Matty flip, you need an obstacle that you can fly both over and under. And it is performed by flying at the obstacle and then flying over the top while performing about a 3/4 front flip. And then you're gonna catch yourself in a position that will allow you to throttle up and fly backward underneath the obstacle as you continue to pitch forward and complete the front flip. The backwards motion of your Matty flip should end in about the same position that you started the trick. Next up is the half Matty. So just like the name implies, this is about half of a Matty flip. So you're going to approach an obstacle and then roll to inverted, and that gets you into the position about after you've completed a front flip from the other direction of a Matty flip. And from there, you're going to throttle up and continue to pitch forward to create that same swooping motion and fly backwards and under the obstacle, just like the end of your Matty flip. Okay, here we are in the Velocidrone simulator in the IGOW arena. I'm going to cover simulation and location for our Matty flips. So when performing a Matty flip, the first thing you need to do is find an obstacle that you can fly both over and under. And if you're first learning, anything that is way high off the ground is going to make your Matty flips much easier, because you're going to have a lot more time to drop down and come backwards underneath without having to worry about hitting a gap or hitting the ground when first learning your Matty flip. So the higher off the ground, the better for your obstacle. That goes for Matty flips and half Matties. So in the sim, everything's really huge. I'm going to use this bar here. And the first thing I teach people is that you just want to fly under your obstacle and then lean back and then fly backwards back under it and kind of finish that end of the Matty motion. So do that a couple times. Just fly under, lean back, learn that angle that you need to come backwards, and then pitch up to finish it. Then, after you got that kind of down, the next step is to do a beginner Matty, where you just fly over the obstacle, cut throttle, drop down, and then fly backwards underneath it. Again, you got to find that angle you need to fly backwards and underneath as you slowly pitch forward and throttle up. So once you've got the beginner Matty down, then all you have to do is add a front flip about 3/4 at the beginning. Then you still just have to hit that angle and finish it out underneath, and then you're doing Matty flips. All right, so now let's move on to the half Matty, and that's very similar. You're basically going to have that same motion that you had at the end of the Matty as you come under and kind of finish up that swooping motion. But this time, the way you approach it is with a roll. So you're gonna fly at the obstacle, then you're gonna roll to invert it, and then finish the Matty, just like before. So that's not maybe the best obstacle. Let's go back up to the giant one here. Same thing, the higher you are, the easier it's gonna be. Roll to inverted, plenty of time to smoothly fly under. And then turning Half-Matties into a Half-Matty Pendulum just means that you link them back to back immediately, one after another. So finish your Half-Matty, roll to inverted, come back under for another Half-Matty. Finish it up, another Half-Matty. Then you're doing Half-Matty Pendulum. Then you're comboing it with Mattyflips, Half-Matties, and you're getting crazy Matty style. Alright, so once you've got your Mattyflips unlocked and you really understand that angle, you need to come backwards and get through whatever gap you want to hit with your Mattyflips. Then you're going to go out into the real world and give it a try.
Hello, I'm Callisto and welcome back to IGOW6. I'm last year's champion and I'm here today to explain this week's challenge. And there are 3 parts of this challenge: easy part, hard part, and advanced part. The first part's going to be the Mattyflip. So to do the Mattyflip, you'll need to find any over obstacle you can find. I'm going to use this tree right here. And a Mattyflip is just a front flip over an obstacle. And then and as you're front flipping, you'll continue to pitch forward as you fly back through underneath the obstacle. So you'll do a front flip over an obstacle and then fly backwards underneath it. So pitch up, pitch forward, and I would start a little low on the obstacle, about where you're going to come out of it at. Do a little throttle blip and then throttle cut as you're front flipping over it, and start your flip right before you go over the obstacle. And try to keep it in view as you pass underneath it, depending on your camera angle. I think keeping it in view as best you can kind of helps you judge how far away it is and how close the ground is. It's kind of a low one. These ones have freaking leaves all over them. I can't really see. There we go. So Mattyflip, just a front flip over and continuing to pitch forward as you come back underneath the obstacle. Yep, that's a Mattyflip. Just like that. Alright, for the hard part of preseason challenge number 4, we're going to be doing the Half-Matty Pendulum. And the Half-Matty Pendulum just consists of 3 Half-Matties, alternating roll directions with no setup time in between. Key part is the no setup time in between each Half-Matty. They have to like flow together. And to do a Half-Matty, all you have to do is do a half roll and half forward pitch. So half roll, half pitch. Half roll, half forward pitch. Half roll, half forward pitch. And that's a Half-Matty. You'll do a little throttle blip into the half roll, and you'll kind of catch your throttle as you're coming back under the object with your forward pitching. So half roll, half forward pitch, half roll, half forward pitch, and that's a Half-Matty. And now we got to link 3 of those together to get a Half-Matty Pendulum. So let's see what we can do here without any ground taps. 1, no setup. 2, no setup. 3, nice big ones. That's what she said. Alright, so let's try it again. No setup time. So Half-Matty, 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 no setup time. For the expert part of preseason challenge number 4, we're going to be doing the Matty Shuffle. And the Matty Shuffle will need to be performed on an IGOW approved triple stack gate with 28-inch openings. 28-inch openings, max. I'm using 24 for this challenge. And for a Matty Shuffle, all you need to do is go forward through the bottom gate, backwards through the middle gate, and then a Mattyflip from the top to the bottom gate, followed by a celebration roll to complete it. So, forward through the bottom gate, backwards through the middle gate, and then a Mattyflip from the top to the bottom, followed by a celebration roll. And that is a Matty Shuffle. So forward, backwards, crash. Good luck.
All right, IGOWers, now you have all the tools you need to get out there and perform some Matty tricks. Good luck and happy whooping.